Hello and welcome to our discussion on being passionate about London. With the uncertainties of the general election behind us, we thought now would be a good time to take stock of London's important place in the UK as a whole. Specifically, we wanted to focus on what the key priorities ought to be for London if it's to retain its preeminent position as a global city. My name's David Snell and I'm delighted to be joined today by Andrew Sentance, PwC's Senior Economic Advisor and previously a member of the Bank of England's MPC, John Dickie, Director of Strategy and Policy at London First, and Chris Reeve, PwC's newly appointed London Chairman. Andrew, if I may, I wanted to start with you. A recent report, Cities of Opportunity, saw London beating over 30 cities, including New York, Paris, Beijing, to be the top global city. And you really saw there that economic clout was one of the things where London scored highly. In your view, what do you see as being the important factors for London in terms of maintaining that preeminent position amongst all of the global cities?
Well, in these surveys of major cities, two cities always come out top, which is London and New York. And I think there's three reasons for that. One is to do with the history, culture, language. Secondly, to do with political stability. And thirdly, to do with business and financial clout. And I think London has been a major business and financial city going back for many centuries. And that's going to be very important going forward. And it's going to mean that the UK is going to continue to be able to punch above its weight in the world economy. And, you know, quite topical with George Osborne recently saying it, you know, what some of the plans of the new government is to devolve more powers to other cities, and the Northern Powerhouse was mentioned. What do you see that, how do you see that potentially impacting on London, if at all? Well, I think it's not either or. I mean, London will continue to be a major international centre and the northern cities can't replicate London, but they can certainly build on what London does and what the UK does and reinforce it. So I think the trick is going to be to build up the strength of other northern cities and other parts of the UK without detracting from London's strength. It's not a zero-sum game. The Northern Powerhouse and London can both together add to the strength of the UK economy. Coexist, yeah. John, your role, I think, puts you in a unique position to critically appraise London's strengths and weaknesses. We now have a new government. What do you think should be their priorities for London to secure London's preeminent position?
Well, London does so well in the City Rankings and New Opportunities Index because of the ingenuity of Londoners past and present, not because of some kind of great government grand plan. But that said, as cities grow, and London's growing rapidly, as cities grow, the importance of systems matters more. So there are three things that I think the government needs to focus on. One is we need continued investment in infrastructure, particularly our transport infrastructure, so as we can get around the city. Secondly, we need to keep London open for business so that international talent can come here to work, to visit, and that requires both getting the right public policy framework around visas, but also around expanding airports so as physically people can get here. And then finally, talent. We need to train Londoners so they get the same crack at the whip when they are looking at firms such as PwC, when they're looking for jobs that the world as a whole is getting from our city. And, you know, thinking about this point around devolving powers, do you think the powers that the London Mayor currently has is about right, or would you give more powers to? I think there's two big areas where I'd like to see further devolution. One is around skills, so that we can better match the needs of Londoners with the needs of London business locally rather than via central government. And secondly, we need greater fiscal devolution, so that more of the money that's raised in London stays here, enabling London to plan, London government to plan for its growth. Thank you. And if I may pick up on a point you raised there, an important point, I think, about skills. Chris, welcome and congratulations on your new role as London Chairman. This point about skills is obviously very important to us, and recently we've been in the news regarding our new recruitment policies, doing away with critically appraising people for their A-level results. What's your position on skills, attracting the right people and growing the talent once you've attracted them in?
I think, firstly, David, we recognise the fact that potential and talent bubbles up in different ways and at different stages of people's lives. So by changing some of the recruitment policy, we are looking for a more modern and fairer way of finding a broader base of talent. If I then apply that into the London market, we've just heard about the strengths and infrastructure we have in place So this is a competitive market. There are lots of people here looking to grow and set up. So I think people need to look wider, be creative about how they access talent, and occasionally they have to look outside London or perhaps outside the UK.
So, thanks, Chris. And trying to bring all of that together then, I know this is a bit of an unfair question, but if I was going to ask you to pick on one thing that you would say London should focus on, what would that one thing be? And Andrew, I'll start with you.
Well, I think the single thing I would highlight would be airport capacity. We've been putting off a decision on expanding London's airports for at least 15 years. And we really need to take that decision and get on with making sure we have the links with the rest of the international economy.
Absolutely. John?
Well, as well as that physical capacity, I absolutely agree with Andrew. We need a visa regime that makes it possible for people to come here to work, to visit and to invest.
Thanks, John. Good points. Chris?
So we've given ourselves the infrastructure and we're open for business. I think we then need to be innovative around finding the best talent from around the world to come here and work in this city.
Thanks, Chris. Plenty there for us all to consider. Please do look out in the coming months for more detailed analysis on the topics that we've covered today on our new London website. And a big thank you to my panel today, Andrew, John and Chris, and to you all for listening. Thank you very much.